around the world. Town fans, I'd like to introduce our new manager about to make his debut on a first team match day. Let's hear it for Chris Powell. Chris, you've managed to achieve a bigger round of applause in 3 minutes than I've managed in 6.5 years at Huddersfield Town, so I know my place, sir. Chris, welcome to Huddersfield Town. How's it been for you so far? It is a whirlwind, is this football management. When did you get the first inclination that this might be happening for you?
Well, first of all, thanks for the introduction and the warm welcome I've got not only this evening but from everyone in Yorkshire where I've been. I mean, it's been fantastic. But coming back to your question, first met Dean just before the Reading game, around that time, and I suppose that was my first interview with regards to the process of what Dean, Nigel and Ross were doing. Then it went quiet for a couple of weeks, but I actually knew it would, because obviously Mark Lewis took over and was doing a sterling job with the boys. And I suppose it was quite natural that whatever Dean and whatever way they were going to go, the international break was the right time to do it. So I got a phone call just after the Watford game, and I was interviewed again. And then it went pretty quickly from there. It was on a Monday, and then I was back up here on a Wednesday doing a press conference. So it was, as you say, it was a whirlwind, but something I was really happy with.
Now, Christopher George Robin Powell was born on the 8th of September. The 8th of September 1969. Now, that makes you 48 hours older or younger than me. So, are you older, more articulate, more sensible, more mature and intelligent? Or are you younger and better looking, Chris? Are you younger and better looking, or older and mature? You're 48 hours younger than me, Chris, just for the record. Chris, Charlton Athletic, that's the club where your home has been pretty much, both in your playing career. I think that's where your heart is. I've seen you manage down there. You somebody mentioned this from the floor. You stopped our unbeaten record a few years ago under Lee Clark. And
it was a few years ago.
It was a few years ago. But I watched you that evening disappear down the tunnel and then reappear 20 seconds later, like some sort of pantomime clown, taking the applause of the home end at Charlton. So they obviously really cared for you as a guy as well as a manager.
They did. Coming back to the jumping out the tunnel. Well, actually, I'll talk about the club itself, because I had a long career, 24 years as a player. And I suppose because I kept going back there, played for them 3 different spells, and then I managed the team. I'm synonymous with them. I played for Derby County, West Ham, Watford. I'm sure you can look on Wiki and see it, but I suppose I'm linked always with Charlton. But there's no problem with that, because you're always linked with the club, even though you go elsewhere. People remember you as a player there and as a manager. So I suppose I was coaching at Leicester, but really that was my first managerial post, and it helped because obviously I had a big job on my hands, and I was given time to do that. And obviously you like to get time as a manager, and personally I felt I repaid them with that, with regards to what happened with the club. So I'm happy with what I've done. Last year was a tough year with regards to all what went on. But you move on, it happens in football, so I'm very clear in what I'd like to do as a manager, where I'd like to go. And I've had a number of months out, and I find myself in Yorkshire, which is great. But talking back to coming out of the tunnel, that just stemmed from when I was a player. The captain at the time, Mark Kinsella, after every game, used to kind of rev the fans up, especially if the result was positive. He left, and the fans wanted someone to sort of do something similar. So we won promotion to the Premier League back in 2000, and I just kept coming out of the tunnel and cheering with the fans, and it just snowballed from there. And they always want you to jump out the tunnel, but because I got a bit older, I wasn't jumping anymore. So I used to just come out and celebrate with the fans, and they love that because they like a connection. I feel that connection here already, and I haven't had a game yet. And obviously Saturday and next Tuesday, first 2 home games. But you need to have a connection. I always feel that's vital at any football club, and any club I've been at, I've made sure I've connected not only with the fans but with the area. I think it's important that you embed yourself with where you work, and that's vital to me moving forward here at Huddersfield.
Lots of managers aren't work this summer. What qualities do you believe you have that's led to Dean Hoyle choosing you for this role?
Should you ask Dean?
I will be asking Dean that, but I just thought it'd be interesting to see if what you say has got any bearing on what he has to say, that's all.
No, I'm relatively quite young as a manager still. 3 years, 1 club, which is quite a long time. So in that respect, I'm very happy with that. It showed I was doing something right. But of course, you've got to have a vision, not only of yourself. It's not all about yourself. It's about your team, about your squad, about your football club. So I understand that I have a vision. I want to do well in my career. I had a playing career. That's finished now. That's gone. And I have to lend my experiences to others. I like doing that. I like managing players. I like getting into them, see what makes them tick. You won't get it right all the time, because some players will not respond, but a lot do. If you show that you care for them, if you show that you give them a chance, and even when you may take them out of the team for whatever reason, that they know there's a route back. I like to do that. I like coaching, but I won't do it all the time, because I feel I need to have a look at them as well. So I have qualities with regards to and trying to get the best out of them. And at times you won't get it right, but you do it better, do it well more often than not, on the right route.
Dean, do you agree with any of that?
Everything.
If you'll keep the mic for a second, Dean. As you're well aware, Dean, a lot of the fan base of the football club were getting slightly worked up by the length of time it's taken to get Chris in this seat.
You haven't noticed?
No, I'm sure you didn't notice, no. Can you tell us why it did take you so long before you arrived at the decision?
Because the worst thing you can do in business in life is make rash choices. I think you've got to think about well. I think we interviewed lots of managers the first time round. Second round of interviews, I think we did 3, and Chris came out top. And the bottom line is, it's like anything else. We were very fortunate where Mark stepped in and steadied the ship. It became very clear very quickly that once Mark put his arm, just like Chris was talking about them, man management, you know, Mark is an excellent man manager who believes he can get the best out of the players. And he did that, and I think we got some great performances, but not the results we deserved, but where he got some fantastic performances out of them. And he enabled us. If we would have lost the first 2 or 3 games, then maybe we had to point even quicker. But what Mark really enabled us to do is really take our time and do our due diligence and do our homework on these guys and make sure we get it right. And you know, if the next question you're going to ask me is why did I choose Chris, I think Chris has summed it up absolutely perfect. When you interview somebody, you never ever know what they're going to be like until you first get them inside the club and until you realise what they're going to do. It's like buying a second-hand car. You don't know what it's going to be like. You never know what a second-hand car's like until you first wash it, and then you find all your scrapes and your bumps, and you think, yeah, I've lost it done here. Very simple story, Chris, isn't it?
Have we got a good runner on all bangers? How are we going with this?
I'll tell you that Saturday after the final whistle. But it's quite simple, isn't it? And my view on Chris is quite simple. 4-4-2, 4-3-3, 3-5, to all these systems. Football's not rocket science. At this level, it's about getting the best out of the players. And I believe, from the experience I've had as a manager, the best way to get the best out of the players is for somebody to be a really good manager. And I think if you look at all the good managers, Warnock, Mourinho, you know, Pulis maybe, all the guys who are really established, and Ferguson, Wenger, all these guys, they're all very good at managing, and they can get the best out of the players. And that's what we need, you know. We're all aware we've got a half-decent squad here, but we've been underperforming. And we need somebody, just like Matt Willis demonstrated, if you get a bit of TLC and do the things which Chris had just mentioned, then we've half a chance of getting the best out of them. And if you get the best out of them, and you can get them to overachieve, then this football club stands half a chance, and all about the manager.
At the Supporters Association meeting Monday night, Nigel Clibben's chief executive said that literally from the moment the job became available and became widely known, his phone virtually melted with applications. How difficult was it to actually get it down to the 3 that you said you second interviewed?
Quite easy, really. You know, I think as soon as you walk through the door, you get a feel for somebody, and you listen to what we've got to say. And Chris and, well, the 3 guys who took the final interview, all were very good people, but Chris was the number 1 choice. He's the only guy who we offered the job to, contrary to the media reports. And I feel this club is the right fit for Chris, and I feel you know, Chris is the right fit for this club. You know, he's managed Charlton very successfully. Charlton is a very similar sized club to this. The DNA is probably identical. Lots in the community. They brought in players through, bought well, and they've overachieved. So for me, it kind of works extremely well. I did initially have my concerns, and I made this with Chris about his family living down south. And Chris being up here, because you know it can be a lonely life. But Alex Dyer, I think we all remember him very fondly. He's
Is he a better coach than player, Dean?
He tells me so. Like we said, we're going to wash the car first. But no, seriously, these 2 guys will spend a lot of time together, and they got on very well. And I think when we had Simon Grayson here, he had a fantastic relationship with Glenn Snodding, and I thought that really worked very well. There's 2. And I think you know, Chris and I will work extremely well. From what I've seen this week on the training pitch, and the way the players have reacted, it's been nothing short of first class. So yeah, fingers crossed. I have a really good feeling about this.
Our football club got a little bit of bad press, Dean, with the, well, reported removal of the prior manager Mark Robbins within 24 hours of the end of the first match of the season.
Yeah.
But that's patently not true, is it?
Interesting that. I wasn't here for the game. I think we're probably lucky not being here, but I wasn't here. You know, I was in Portugal, and at 3 o'clock I'm laying in my sunbed waiting for, you know, Mr. Clibbins to text me. The good, bad and the ugly, and thinking, right, okay, optimism. 2 hours later, we've lost 4 and we've got no manager. So I thought, wow, this is interesting. and football's a funny thing, but I'll set the record straight now. After the game, Mark saw a quick meeting with Ross and Nigel, and he said to them, he said, look, I've lost the crowd. I don't think we're going to get the crowd back. Anybody who watched today's game would wonder what we've been doing all summer, but obviously we've been working hard, so but you can understand what they will think. I don't think I've lost the players, but at the same time, anybody watching that performance would question that, and I think we need to part company. And Nigel said to him, "But we've got Chesterfield on Tuesday. Football is full ups and downs, Mark. You know, we can get a result there, we can push on." And Mark just went, "No, I'm gone." And that was it. So I put a phone call into me on holiday, and I had a quick conversation, and we wished each other well. And like I've always said in the press quite publicly, Mark, when he first took the job, did say to me privately, he said to me, he said, "If this isn't working out, Dean, I will tell you 100%, we'll have a chat and we'll part company." He said, I can see this getting worse at the club today. I've got too much respect for the people here. I like the job, I like the place, but it's not working out, and I think we need to part company. And that is refreshing in football, if I'm honest with you. And he's got my utmost respect for all that. And I think on the back of that, he'll have a reasonably successful stint in management. And I think he'll take the things which is the mistakes he's made from here. I think it'll make him a better manager. And we like Mark, you know. Maybe, you know, I know fans were probably calling for him to go before on last year's run. But he really worked hard and wanted it, and we wanted him to succeed. And I wanted to give him the backing. But off he went. And yeah, you get the bad press, but people come to conclusions, don't they, after the first game. We never expected it. We got caught with our pants down. It just ball times to the blue. But that's football, you move on. Another chapter now.
Have you told Chris how important it is for our results to be good that when you are on holiday, though, Dean? Shall I explain any more, Dean? Chris probably doesn't know what we're talking about. Chris, we'll move on very quickly, but let me just tell you that managers lose their job whether they walk or they're asked to walk when Dean's on holiday. So when he, just find out when he's going skiing. Find out when he's going skiing, because ski season is very bad for sacking managers. Guys, enough from me asking questions at the floor. Tonight is your question evening, not mine. So who's going to ask the first question? I'm going to ask you to say your name, and then I'm going to ask you to be concise in asking the question. Front row, we got the first one, and then I've got one in the second row to follow. Yes, sir.
Mark Rollinson, season ticket holder for quite a number of years. Very quickly, two questions really. First one, what did you see in Huddersfield Town? And actually, directed as a player, as you asked him to stay, what do you see in Sean Scanlon, and where can you see him being in 6 months' time? The
question was by Mark Rollinson. The first question was, why has Chris chosen Huddersfield Town? What does he see in Huddersfield Town? The second question is, Sean Scannell stayed at the club when there was mooted to be an offer for him to leave. What role did you have in keeping Sean here, Chris?
Well, first off, see, I feel I had the right rest and recuperation with regards to when I left Charlton. And I've done a number of things, a number of interesting things. Coaching England under-17s, who won the Euros in Malta. Finished my pro licence. I wanted to go to Brazil. I'm quite glad I didn't. I was finishing my pro licence. So, and I was ready to come back in. Now, you always want to look at the right fit, the right club. And obviously this opportunity came out of the blue, because normally in this game, in my industry, in the football industry, you know that come October there may be jobs available. The jobs that were available, i.e. Leeds and Blackpool, I wasn't going anywhere near those.
I really don't think that Christopher, George, and Robin Powell realises just how important what he's just said really is.
I do now. So, obviously I was really pleased with this opportunity and going through the process, and here I am. So, I'm really happy with the choice I've made, and I want to make it work. So, I'm really pleased in that respect. And like Dean said earlier, it's a club. With regards to the fan base, with regards to the infrastructure, I'm used to that. I'm used to it, so it doesn't scare me in that respect. Of course, I know I have to do my job well, and the players do, and that's up to me to inspire them and motivate them as much as I can, and get them into a system and a way of playing that reflects not only them, but you guys, because ultimately, you're the ones who come and turn up, and you want to see a team that kind of reflects you. Of course, when they're playing, because I'm their manager, it reflects me. But of course, you want to be proud of your team and your players and your favourite players. So I know that's something I have to do and do pretty quickly, because I don't have a pre-season where you get to know them, where you get to try different things, and it doesn't matter. It matters every result now and every game we play. With regards to Sean, he's someone I've known from afar. Obviously, I know he's, I suppose you would say, he's been a bit of an enigma since he's been here. And it was a deal sort of mooted, but things were happening so quick with regards to what was going on, incomings and maybe outgoings. Obviously we lost 2 midfield boys in Norwood and Clayton, but we brought Mark Hudson in. So I just felt, with regards to the squad, I kind of needed the squad together at least till January. And then I can sort of have a number of months, let alone weeks, with them to make some, decisions on certain players, like Sean, because it's very easy for me to listen to other opinions. Of course, I need to make sure I'm happy with my opinion and my judgment. So, like them all, they've got to impress me to make sure that they're part of the future moving on. Cheers.
Second question.
Yeah, Alan Smith. Partly to do with the question that you just answered, but did you know any of the players before you came to Huddersfield? And how long do you think is fair for you to get a real grip on what the squad's about, how good they are, where the weaknesses are, where there's areas for development?
The question was asked by Alan Smith, and it was, how well do you know any of the current squad, and how long do you think it'll take you to fully assess the whole squad?
Well, the amount of times I played against Huddersfield Town the last few months or years, I kind of know every player. No, I actually trained and played with James Vaughan at Leicester right at the end of my career, and he thinks he got an extra year on my career because I played with him, but he's quite a character. But of course I knew about a lot of the players. Of course you get a better idea when you work with them daily instead of just seeing them on a match day or on DVDs. But of course that's what I'm doing. I'm watching games. I've watched a couple of games already from this season, and it's up to me to get to know them pretty quickly. Of course I've asked questions from Dean and Ross, from the other staff. Steve Thompson's here and Steve Eyre, Nick Colgan of course. So I've got to ask everyone, but I need to form my own opinion. That's important. I don't always just take everyone else's opinion, because I know what it's like. You form opinions of players that you like or dislike, but I need to see for myself how they train, how they work. Are they the sort of player I feel will move us forward? The good thing is we have good academy, so there's a number of players there. There's some good talent that's come in. There's a couple of young players I feel at the right time. I always feel it's you have to pick and choose the right time to plug young players. There's one or two already I think I've got a real chance here. I really do. I'm not going to name them, sadly, but you'll see. You'll see over a number of weeks that I'm not afraid of putting them in. Not at all, because they have to start somewhere. As long as it's a game where I feel they can express themselves and the pressure's not really on them too much, and we will give them a chance, because they're going to make mistakes, but you're hoping that when they're given their chance, because they always want to be in the team, that they blossom, and we give them that time to blossom, because they could be good players for Huddersfield Town, for definite. But I'm assessing all the time, in training, when I get back in the office, when I'm in my hotel room, I'm always thinking about them, because I have to. I don't have pre-season, I don't have time. We have to hit the ground running as much as we can. Cheers.
Next question. We've done, guys.
Cheers.
Yes, sir.
How much of Neil, how much of the influence was based on the training facilities?
Neil's question is, how important was this facility here at PPG Canalside in you wanting to come to Huddersfield Town?
Well, of course, I think any working environment you want it to be as best as you can. It wasn't the be-all and end-all that we have a great facility, because you'd be amazed at some of the training grounds up and down the country or abroad where they produce players. But it is important. What I did like, and I was quite amazed, I've never seen it before, when Dean told me actually what goes on here with regards to the community using the bar, the restaurant, bowls, mixing in with the players. It's quite unique. So actually we should be proud of it, because it may be a template that people will follow. But it's great. I mean, it's great to come into an environment, a working environment, and the people here, superb. I mean, I know it's early, I'm getting to know everyone's names and mixing everyone's names up, but why wouldn't it inspire you coming in and actually seeing the ground while you're training? I mean, that happens more abroad, and definitely in England, that they train near the ground or next to the ground. So I think it's great. It's within the local area, within the town, and people can come and watch us. It doesn't happen, it only happens abroad, so we should be proud that that can happen here. Yes.
David Brooke, I'm sure you've had a few battles with our ambassador and the goal. Are you responsible for any scars on the knee?
The question by Dave Brooke is, I'm sure you've come across our ambassador, the Huddersfield Town Club ambassador, Andy Booth, on the pitch. Are you responsible for any of the scars on his knees?
That's a really good question. I'm sure we've played against one another. Maybe someone will tell us that. I'm sure we have someone who does all that stuff. Yeah, but you wouldn't have got away with me, so I would have kicked him a few times. I spoke to him the other day and said to him, "Do you still keep fit?" And he said, "My knees have gone. I can't move."
He never could, Chris.
But it was good to see him, friendly face, and you've obviously come across one of lots of times. It's good that you have players and ex-players involved in the club. I always think that's important, just moving on, because they live and breathe the football club.
Gentleman there, yes sir?
Dave, sitting with Lord Golf with the of offsets. Under what circumstances would you start with just one up front?
The question from Dave, if you give us your surnames in future, that'd be good. He wants to know, Chris, under what circumstances would you ever start with just one player up front? He sits in the direct golf lower as well, so when you get a load of stick on a Saturday, over the likes of him. Okay.
Well, to be fair, we know how football has evolved, and I'm sure all of us here, it used to be 4-4-2, that was it. Strictly that was it. But we know football has changed, and I've played 3-5-2 here. But you look at a lot of teams now, and a lot of the plays based around midfield, they put an extra player in there, so it can undo you. It can do. Sometimes, a lot of the time, my formula was to play with two strikers, and then maybe one away, depending on where we were going, depending on sort of the team, the game. That's something you look at with regards to the tactics. You can't be too open, but you do like to get goal scorers and threats on the pitch. You do, especially at home. You like to do that as much as you can, because the majority of fans are there. They want to see goals. They want to see you at least trying to score goals. So on the odd occasion, you have to do it. Maybe injury, maybe just the players that you have available for selection. But I know we've got Naki, we've got James, who I've been told haven't played together too often. And obviously two very good goal scorers. But of course you've got to make sure that they blend and play together well. And I know we've got a number of other players as well, John Stead, Harry Bunn can play up front. So yeah, I mean, sometimes you will have to do that. You may have to do that during games. But it's just about getting the right balance throughout the team, especially the spine. That's got to be very strong, and I think it will improve with people like Mark Hudson coming in. He's got plenty of championship know-how. But I'll try and get two strikers on the pitch as much as I can. Definitely. I've got the message. I've got the message.
Just picking up on one point there, Chris, you've chosen to keep Lee Peltier as club captain. A lot of people thought you may consider Mark Hudson, because everywhere he's been at our level, he's captained and he's captained side successfully. What was you thinking there?
Well, I think I said that today, didn't I, on my press conference. It was basically, I don't want to make too many changes. He's club captain, he's been here before and knows the area. You've got to remember, Mark's just joined the club. Doesn't know the area, he wants to bet in, he wants to know his way around, he wants to know, he wants to get into the team. And if I made him captain and didn't choose him, you know, I'm not saying because you're captain you're in the team. That shouldn't happen. But I just feel that Lee has got the respect of everyone. Of course, you guys know him. You're going to get to know Mark. And I think Mark will be a leader and a captain without the armband. And then maybe a time where he will get the armband. But I'm very happy with Lee being a captain. And again, like I said earlier, I'm assessing all the time that he's captain at the moment. I'd like that to continue because I feel that's right. He's been named captain, but we'll see in the future. But he's a good leader of men. He knows people. He talks. Good communicator. Good character. But Mark's got those qualities, whether he's got the band or not.
I think there was a hand up there. Yes, sir.
Michael Burnley. Chris, are you concerned about our defensive frailties that have been apparent over the last few seasons?
Well, being an ex-defender, it takes a dean, I think, in the interview process. We haven't had a clean sheet. Haven't had one clean sheet in 7 games, including the cup games. And I said, moving forward, you've got to get clean sheets. You get 10 clean sheets, that guarantees you at least 10 points. At least, if you draw them all 0-0, that's 10 more points than if you concede. Now I know, of course, we like to see high scoring games and what have you, but it breeds confidence. It breeds confidence in the players, in you guys for certain, and in me, because that's what I want them to do as best they can. We've been working on it. Of course, proof will be put in come Saturday or Tuesdays, but we do need to do that. And that's the base. I feel, for me coming in at this stage, we need to have a base. We need to give them a target of that, because they can score goals. You know, we'd like to create more goal-scoring chances as much as we can, but just wanted to give them a target and let them think about it. And you've got to think about the keeper as well. Keepers pride themselves on that. And Alex and Joe, 2 very good goalkeepers at this level, haven't had a clean sheet, and it will spring in their step as well, for certain. So that's something really early that I'd like us to overcome.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Who's next, guys? Yes, First Lady, what's your name?
Margaret, I'd like to ask Chris, are you hoping to move to Yorkshire? And if so, are you looking forward to
Margaret Brooke wants to know, do you want him to move in with you? Margaret Brooke wants to know whether or not Chris is going to move to Yorkshire, and perhaps she's got a spare room for you, Chris. Who knows? Perhaps not even a spare room, there's a glint in her eye there. I really hope Mrs. Powell's not watching this. Hello, Mrs. Powell. Mrs. Brooke said, I hope Mr. Brooke isn't as well.
I'm definitely moving up. Not sure where at the moment, but no, I'll come up. I've been told various areas where to go. Where I stay.
Brighouse, was it? Yeah.
But no, I'm definitely moving up, and the sooner the better, really. I just want somewhere that you know, I can rest my weary head after games, and you know, and get into the culture of the area, because it is slightly different. But I'm not afraid of change. I'm not afraid of mixing in and doing what you folk do up here.
Am I getting in trouble? Chris, may I remind you, we've been Family Club of the Year several years.
I think you know what I mean. So I'm going to embrace the area. I have to. I think it's only right. So of course, you know, my family will come up as much as I can. They're in vital sort of stages of their lives. My daughter's about to do her GCSE, so it'd be unfair to kind of move her at this critical stage. My son's just started a new school. my wife's studying, so it's kind of, but they're excited by it. They're already, my kids are already looking where Huddersfield is. They want to come up. You mean I'm getting into trouble here?
We're even on maps down there.
Next question, please.
Great question, Mrs. Brooke. Yes.
And I want to go in your spare room.
Ian Wilkinson wants to know, are you going to rotate even the goalkeepers? What are you going to do about the goalkeepers? You mentioned we've got 2 good goalkeepers at this level, so what are you going to do?
Of course, I'm looking at them every day, and whoever's performing best will play. I know Alex has played for a long time, and Joe's just come. He's played a couple of games, but no, it's a new broom with me. Been impressed by what they've been doing with Nick and the 2 young goalkeepers as well, Lloyd and Ed. So they've got a good working group, which I always like. I like goalkeepers. Being a defender, I like them because it's a specialist position. And whenever you have a good goalkeeper, it does send confidence throughout the team. So I feel we've got 2 very capable goalkeepers, and hopefully they'll start getting clean sheets, whoever plays, and we'll go from there.
Who's next, guys? Yes, the second lady.
Rebecca Dodds. I was thinking, I know you've not had long to look at the players just yet, but what about, thinking about Robbins, we have a lot of players playing that position, like Danny Ward up front, and I know he can play there, but it's not the best.
For those of you watching worldwide, Rebecca's just giving Chris some tips on what she thinks about players. So we're all right.
I think he's a centre-back.
No, I don't think it's a centre-back.
The question by Rebecca Dodds effectively was, is it square pegs for square holes, etc.? Or round holes? Or round pegs for round holes?
Yeah. As much as I can and we can, I want the players to play in their natural position. It's only fair. You're going to have times where you're going to have to ask them to do a job, maybe in a game tactically, or maybe as the game's going on, but primarily I like them to just play where they like to play, where I feel would be best for them to express themselves, best for them to show people they can play. And Lee, actually, you mentioned Lee, I mean, he's played centre-back, he's played right-back, played centre-mid, holding centre-mid. He's done a decent job in all of them, but actually, you know, I've asked him the question, where do you see your best position? Because, like you just said, I'd like to know exactly where they feel most comfortable. If I ask them to do something else, then fine, but if you're a left winger, you stay on the left, you may have to go on the right, which isn't much different. You may have to cut in more if you're left-footed, but in the main, I like them to just play in the areas and positions I will get the best out of them. And have you got a spare room?
I like the cut of this lad's gym, don't you? Who's next? I think he wants ladies asking questions, aren't they? The ladies of Huddersfield. We've got one in the door there. Yes, sir.
Steve Murray. So, what were Lee Peltier's answer?
It was a question about Lee Peltier. I didn't quite hear it from Steve Murray there, but...
What was his answer to his best position?
What was Lee's answer to his best position?
You'll see when he next plays. Good question. Not goalkeeper.
Yes?
Chris, when will you name your team Saturday, team players?
Peter Swallow asks, when will the players know the team for Saturday?
Tomorrow, definitely tomorrow. I do like the players to have an idea of the team. There are circumstances where you may be waiting on a key player, maybe ill, maybe carrying a slight knock, but I do 95% like them to know on Friday, so we can just nail down certain aspects of what we're doing. The week is always built upon the next game, with an eye on the next game, giving them sort of painting pictures as such with them on the training field about what I want. Today we worked with the defence and the midfield, and strikers worked away. We brought it together near the end, but it was more specialist work because I like them just to do that. But normally I name the team on a Friday.
Next one, guys. Yes, sir.
It goes back to the point raised a short while ago about playing one up front. We certainly strengthened the spine of the side, both in central defence, Mark Hudson, etc., Hoyle and Buffy in midfield. But as yet, we haven't brought in an additional striker. Is there any possibility that we're going to bring in, even on loan, another striker within the next few weeks?
The questioner likes the strengthening in midfield and centre half, but thinks we need more strength up front. Mr. Hoyle looks like he's happy with where we are up front, the way he just told me. But is Chris Powell happy with what you've seen so far from our front men? He'd suggest a whip round if you need another striker.
I'd like another 6 strikers.
He's going on holiday soon, Chris.
I'm quite happy with the strikers I've got. Good question, because I'm looking at all the players, the whole squad, looking at what areas may need strengthening in the loan market, in the loan window. Of course, we can't do anything permanent until January, but you always want strikers. I think most managers will tell you that you live and die by your strikers, really. Any football team, any manager, because you need to score goals to win games, and they're the ones who get the double figures, and the others will chip in. You want the centre-backs to chip in and the midfielders. And you're right, Mark Hudson's coming to bolster the central area, so of course we've got Joel Lynch, Anthony Gerrard, Jan Murray, and then Connor has come in, and he looks a very good addition, and Jacob. And I still feel there may be scope for us to do something midfield or up front, but I'm giving the players a chance. But I've got to give them a chance, and they've got to perform pretty quickly, or else, of course, I will act. We've got to get the blend right up front. And I kind of think we've got that, but of course, you know, with James, and I know Vaughan hasn't played as much football as we would like, and when he has played, I think we've seen that there's a goal scorer there at this level. I think Naki will get better and better. Got to remember he's gone from Carlisle to Bradford to us, so he's on a journey. We want that journey to continue with us. He's got that great knack of being in the right place. Of course, Vaughan, he's not big, but aerially he's quite strong. And then we've got John Stead. I know he's come back and had a difficult year last year, but he's trained well, different type. You just want different types, so in any given game you could do something different. So it is an area we will constantly look at, no doubt, because if you can bring goal scorers who will add to us and make us better, we'll try and do it.
Yes, another lady, Chris, good news.
You've mentioned Aki Wells and James Vaughan. We haven't had the opportunity yet to see them playing together. What's the chances of that happening within the near future?
Good question. The lady wants to know, what's the chances of James Vaughan and Naki Wells? You've already said they haven't played together very much.
No.
What's the chance of seeing them starting in blue and white stripes very soon? Pretend it's Friday, Chris.
Let's hope we see them really soon.
Beat that one.
Are you coming Saturday? Are you coming on Saturday? Okay.
I thought you were going to ask if she had a spare room. Who's next, guys? Yes, sir.
You never mentioned Martin Patterson.
Yeah.
He never mentioned Martin Patterson, says the disgruntled town fan.
We don't know where he is.
Is he still here? What's the update with Martin?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned him because I shouldn't have forgot him. But it was the first time he trained today since he's been injured. He had a knee op, and he's been bouncing around the training ground. But he joined in today, which was really good. I've always said, regardless of what people think previously, they start afresh with me. And if they're going to put a shift in, if they're going to do well for Huddersfield Town, if they're willing to do the work and work hard and get us results, they've got a chance with me. And if it doesn't work, no problem. I'll shake their hands and say, carry on with your career. You know, I'm always fair in that respect. And Martin, I know it's been kind of stop-start with him. But he has a chance if any given time, if the boys aren't performing and he's doing well, he'll get a chance.
I'll just duck if you do. You got
Do I need to explain that one to him? He definitely doesn't know.
Do I need to know?
Well, Saturday you might need to know. He had a little bit of fun with Mr. Clayton last season, but it was fairly well documented. Somebody came off better and somebody came off worse, and we kept the fighter, I think. Yeah, oh dear. Apologise to everybody who's watching worldwide at PPG Canalside. It's one of our regulars, Sheila. This will take 5 minutes for her to ask, so I do apologise. Yes, Sheila. Sheila said, Chris, welcome to Huddersfield. I've got a room anytime you want. She's even threatening to kick Neil out, Chris. I can't remember what you actually did say now, Sheila. Sorry. Chris, whatever she asked, can you answer it? Can you remember? Go on, mate. Sorry.
That's a fair question. Yes, of course. I mean, you have your own tactics and style of play. But if it's not working, you may have to tinker with it. What I do like to do with them is not give them too many surprises. So we'll work on it beforehand. So if we've set out a certain way and it's not working, you can maybe send a message on just to maybe change to, because you never know what teams are going to do. Middlesbrough have been playing a certain way, but now they've signed 3 new players. So we don't know if they're going to play. They may just change because of the personnel they've got. So you just have to try and preempt it. So you believe in your system and your style of play and your tactics, and you want that to be what you set out to do and what you want to do for 90 minutes. But we know what this game's like, and anything can happen. As you've seen recently with the Charlton game, down to 10 men unjustly, but he had to change slightly. Sadly, didn't get 3 points, but he should have got them. But definitely should have got them. So it's just something that, tactically as well, people always say English players and teams don't really evolve and change tactically, but players can and teams can, and I want my players to do that. Thanks.
Yes.
Dave Brooke, are you aware of how popular Dale Stevens is?
Dave Brooke says, are you aware how popular Dale Stevens is at Huddersfield? I'm not sure if he's popular in the chairman's eyes, right, but there we go. Why is he popular?
He took one of our players out last season.
Yes, he did, yeah. Yes, he did. Was it Adam? Adam, wasn't it? Yes, he did, yeah. No, I didn't tell him to do it. That was a good player. It was a rush challenge. He should have been sent off for certain. I actually told him at half time we should be down to 10. It was reckless. Am I apologising for a minute? Yeah. But yeah, it wasn't the best tackle, and he got away with it. So.
Yes. Alan Smith. Anthony Gerrard has been injured for the whole of the season. I believe he used to play alongside Mark Hudson when he was at Cardiff. Is he any nearer to coming back into the team? And is that a partnership that you would look at going forward?
Alan Smith asked if Anthony Gerrard is anywhere near fitness, and he used to play with Mark Hudson at Cardiff, presumably. So, have you thought of that about a potential pairing?
Well, it's a possibility for certain. And he's just joined in. He joined in on Tuesday, so he's only had 2 days. He needs games. He definitely needs games to get up to speed. But he enjoyed the training today because it was around defensive work. It was good for him, as well as the others, but it was good for him just to get that time out on the grass with us. He's experienced. He's got the championship know-how. Like I always say, you need a good balance in the side where you need some real soldiers and solid citizens in the team. He's one of them. Mark Hudson's one of them. You look at your centre-backs, those types, especially when sort of you're really up against it, you may be hanging on 1-0 away from home. You need those guys to come to the fore when the pressure's on. So I'm looking forward to working with him, getting him fit, because you want as many players who can play at this level in your squad, and he's definitely one of those.
Yes, you man.
Michael McPhee, I'm just wondering what your expectations are for the season.
Michael McPhee asked what your expectations are for the season, Chris. Well, we'll go with yours first, and then we'll ask what Dean wants.
I've been put on record that I just want to improve us as a championship side. I've seen what's happened the last 2 seasons. Last season was tough, but obviously survived the season before. I don't think I have to remind you what happened, with Barnsley, last game of the season. And I just don't want that scenario for us. What I want is for us to, I'm sure Dean's going to say it, to overachieve. It is possible. We've seen it. I've been involved. First season in Championship with Charlton, came up same season as Huddersfield. Overachieve. It can be done. We've seen teams go up and really overachieve. Burnley, Blackpool a few years back. So it can be done. I just want us to be a team, have a squad that can do that. I'm not saying it will happen immediately, because you do have to build. You do have to get the right blend, the right squad. You can't do that all the time, just move 8, 9 players out, get 8, 9 players in. It has to be a gradual process, but a process that is definitely moving you forward. You've just got to see that that's happening. As a manager, as a chairman, as a supporter, you have to see that happening. So that's what I'm aiming to do. If I said to you there's targets, then there may be. With regards to 24 teams, you like to be in the top half. You'd love to be that. If you're in the top half, you've got a few games to go, you might even want to push on. That's the ideal scenario, and that's what I'm looking for my squad of players to do.
Let's ask Dean that, Chris, because Dean, this is into the 7th season now. I know the first season was a shared chairmanship with a local luminary who was very popular in these parts. But we've progressed every year on the field, Dean. Off the field, I think the club's unrecognisable. I think everybody will agree with that. This facility that we're in right now was just a knackered old working men's club effectively 6 years ago. But on the field every year things have got better, at least statistically, where we finished in table. So is that the aim this time?
I think the Championship, I think Chris, the first time it is a very difficult division to compete on an even level with. I think when you hear Euro Rosler come out and say they can't compete against the big clubs spending lots of money, and they've got millions in parachute payments, it puts things into perspective. Then, little old Huddersfield and Charlton have probably got no chance in all due respect. But I think we can do things a different way, and I think the way I look at it is quite simple. We need to get the best out of our players. Chris, I believe, is 100% the guy who can do that. And if you can get the best out of your players and get them to individually overachieve and reach their targets, then you never know what may happen. And it might be a bit of a sprinkle of dust you can put down. You know, that Christmas magic every now and again. Actually, I can't actually that. A lot of that. And it works. And you've only got to look at the exceptions of overachievement, which is Blackpool, Burnley, and they are the exceptions. But at the same time, you would probably, even last season, you would probably put the Burnley team on paper, man for man, our team on paper, man for man. You wouldn't say they're top two and we're bottom two. To be honest, you may not say we're as good as them, but you won't put us poles apart. So all I want Chris to do is chairman is to actually get those players individually and as a team playing individually and collectively the best they can. With a hard-working northern town, and we would like to see the players put a shift in, even when it's not going right. No white flags, you know. We want to see graft, and a good style of football to go on with it. And you know, I'll always be supportive, but at the same time, I think we've laid the foundations with the stadium, with here. They've got most tools to work with. I know they'd like a new gym, but we can't have everything. But the bottom line is, for me, all I want to do is overachieve. And when we met Chris in the interview, I said, Chris said, well, where do you want the club to be? And I said, you know something, I'm sick of this underachieving. Because even if you go back 3 or 4 years ago, when Chris got promoted with Charlton 101 points, I probably felt we underachieved that season, and we got there through the playoffs with the penalties. And if you'd have put our team on paper, you know, with Charlton never got it, and Chris's team on paper, then you know, I think we should have been right up there as well, and we wasn't. And if you go back the year before, when we started at Peterborough, you know, we took Southampton all the way. Sorry, when we lost to Peterborough, we took Southampton all the way. So all I want us to do as a club is overachieve, and I think that puts smiles on lots of people's faces, me included. And that's why we went with Chris, because he's a good guy, he's very passionate. I think he's a little bit to prove as well, you know, to a few people, and you know, like I said to him before, you know, North South divine Chris coming up here to manage, and he said, I don't want a stigma of being I can only manage in Charlton. So if I come up here and I make a success of it, I'll be a better person for it as well, and a better manager. And you know, that's what I want to do. I want Chris to go on to even bigger and better things from this football club, because if that happens, then it's a win-win situation. Just like when Jordan Rose went on to Blackburn, he moved on and it's a win-win. So for me, progression is overachievement. And how do you class overachievement? I think I've documented this in the press. When Charlton, the first season back, Chris, I think the first to admit, it was a really good first division team, but not really a proper championship team in the first season. He didn't get the support he should have done. I probably think we had players which were probably man for man better. I may disagree, that's my view. Charlton finished on last game of the season, I think it was 9th, 3 points of the playoffs, and with 80 minutes to go we were going back down. Now to me, we underachieved, and Charlton overachieved, and to me that's a simple way of looking at it. So I think everything's in place to push on now.
There's been some speculation, Dean, keep the microphone just a second, it's okay. Been a little bit of speculation that some fans, this is social media talking of course, Dean, but some fans have been saying they think Dean Hoyle's getting a little bit tired of being Huddersfield Town Chairman, I'll use that word. Are you still as energised as you were 6 years ago? Are you still loving being the owner of the football club you've been a fan of all your life?
Yeah, of course I am. But every now and again you've got to kick off, haven't you, and get it out of your system. You know, to be honest, when the radio interview, I was still in Portugal, and you won't believe how many times I marched up and down that terrace on that phone. In fact, she says, "Didn't stop us, and I want to carry on." But it's like anything else. Sometimes you've got to get out of your system, and football, it's a pressured environment. You know, you've got 14,000, 12,000 fans watching everything you do. It's like operating in a goldfish bowl. We, myself, the manager, you know, Nigel, Ross, all the staff here, we do everything with the best interest of the club at heart. I just found that regardless of what it was, some people, it just wasn't good enough. And there were certain individuals who, everything you did, they always picked up on the negative. And it just got to a bit of a pressure point, and I thought, no, enough's enough now. And maybe, you know, that will go down a bit infamously, but every now and again you've got to get it off your chest. And I felt a lot better afterwards, to be honest. And a lot better. And to be honest, Chris has probably reinvigorated me as well, because I honestly believe now that I've got a guy here who I can work with. And it comes down to, he's a good guy, and I like him. And I think it can be good here. I really do. I'm not just saying that